right. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Passions Podcast, the podcast where we talk about passions, the soap opera passions. I'm LeTara, as always, but today I have a new guest host because we're trying something new. We're switching it up. So would you like to introduce yourself?
I am Gina. I am the guest for this week. LeTara found me on TikTok and I was so excited because I literally have been listening to this podcast since the beginning.
Okay, y'all need to go and follow Gina. Gina, what's your @ on TikTok?
It is There G Goes with G-I.
Which so I love. There G Goes.
I was in one of your lives and you did that.
Did I?
Thrilled. Yes. Yes. I was like, go.
I love it. So yeah, no, I follow Gina on TikTok and she does some good content, especially about passions. So you should definitely follow her. We're going to talk about passions today.
2000s nostalgia. That's all I have left room left for.
We millennials are we're just stuck in the year 2000. Like, I know I am.
So downhill since then.
Like the fact that the year 2000 was 22 years ago, it really doesn't make any sense. Like the math doesn't make sense to me at all. Like, the year 2000 was 6 years ago because I graduated in 2006 and I graduated last year. Yep. To me.
And I don't have like kids yet. So like, I'm still mentally 16. Same.
Exact same. Don't have kids. But anyway, we're going to talk about passions today. Episodes 356 to 360. Is that right?
Yes.
Yep. All right. So how was the week for you?
Very Teresa and Ethan heavy. So I was very pleased with that. These were great episodes for me.
I know. I personally I got really frustrated to the point that I like paused a couple of times, like to take some deep breaths when Teresa was like trying to get to Ethan. I was so annoyed.
And Gwen is like super insufferable.
Yeah. So we're not going to start with them though. Of course, we're going to start with magic this week, which is like nothing, everybody. So here's my very bad summary. Charity and Miguel talk about taking their relationship to the next level physically, and Miguel assures Charity he's happy with their relationship as it is and will wait until she's truly ready to have sex. Elsewhere, Hecuba convinces Kay to sell her soul, and in return, she casts a spell on Kay that makes her look and sound like Charity so that she can fully violate Miguel without his knowledge. That's it. That's the summary.
That was a lot for me. It wasn't a big portion of these episodes, like time-wise, but it was a lot to take in.
It was also very unsettling. Like Kay's back to being a rapist, and I don't like that.
I know, and it's hard because especially I think because we know where she ends up, right? Because we've both seen this show, so you know there's something good in there. But
yeah, and the thing is, I've been saying I like this new Kay. Like they've got Kay 2.0, and I'm all for it.
Yeah, I like her.
And because the actress like makes her a little bit more human, a little bit funnier. And so I'm like, I'm fully team Kay, but I can't get down with this. So let's talk about it. Kay's at the book cafe reading some books. Like one of them was like The Road to Evil. like how to sell,
handing out books like that
at the book cafe. Like I guess she found them that's like my assumption, she found them at the book cafe. But like, why do they have like how to sell your soul in 10 easy steps? Like I don't get it.
And that like Chad would be the one to walk in on that.
Yeah, well, that was perfect. Chad comes up and sees that she's like reading these books about evil and selling her soul, and he's like, I'd be careful if I were you. Like actually these are perfect for you, basically calling her evil, which she is. I mean, she kind of is.
I feel like Chad also has some of like the best, like most like wisdom type lines. Like he said something like reputations are a lot like, so he is like one of the deepest characters on this show and never gets enough credit for it.
No, he doesn't. And I think hopefully that's by design, honestly, because everybody's just kind of blowing him off because he's a street kid and he doesn't know who his family is and who his people are and where he comes from, so nobody like listens to him. But yeah, he's like, reputations are like souls, you only get one, and once it's gone forever. It's hard to get back. So
there was also, he brought up that he had called around and there was no Tiffany that was pregnant. I was like, who did you call to make sure no Tiffany in town was pregnant?
That's what I was wondering. He was like, I called around and nobody's ever heard of a girl named Tiffany getting pregnant. Really? I know at least 3 Tiffanys that have been pregnant, right?
Like, who do you call? Like the town hall? Like, excuse me, has there been any Tiffany's reported pregnant recently?
I guess you call Eve maybe.
I guess
she has no problem violating those HIPAA laws we've seen.
No, not at all.
Right. So she hates him, but that's a whole other thing.
We'll get there.
That we will get into. So yeah, she's at the book cafe reading these hell books and she decides to like pray to God. She like leaves because she keeps hearing Hecuba's voice in her head.
Go to the woods for that. I was confused.
Girl, I do not. Maybe she felt like she would be closer to God if she was like in nature.
Sure. Okay.
You
know what? That's a story I would buy. They could have explained that.
They never explain anything. They leave it to us. Like it's up to us to analyze it. Make of it what you will.
Yeah.
So she goes out to the woods and she starts to like pray to God to take Hecuba away from her and like help her. She's like, I know I haven't talked to you in a while. By the way, this is Kay Bennett. Like,
are you there, God? It's me, Margaret.
Exactly. Okay. It's me, Kay Bennett. And Hecuba, God does not show up. Hecuba does. God's like, nah, girl, you on your own, bitch.
That's what you get for selling your soul.
Yeah. So Hecuba shows up and like starts to entangle Kate in like vines.
The props department had a very low budget that day. It looked like it was made out of like felt. You created a whole like wood atmosphere and that's what you went with.
I loved this. Okay. Because I was like, what in the hell is going on? Number one, I was confused because in the previous episodes, Kay had already said she agreed to sell her soul to Hecuba. So like, what are we doing here? Hecuba's like punishing Kay in this moment because she says that Kay reneged on giving her soul, but she already agreed to give her a soul. I've never heard a story where where the evil person is like, after you make the agreement that you can just like back out. That's not how it works.
Like, have you seen The Little Mermaid? That's not how
it's not
you
how
made
it works.
The deal already.
That's not how it works. You made the deal. You signed well, I don't know if she signed the contract, but we had like a little handshake deal and I'm evil. So I'm going to take your soul. But there are no rules in this though. So who knows? So then she like pulls Kay down underground into her cave. So she ends up into her cave.
Carrying her.
Me too.
And then I was like, oh no, she just went right back to where she started from.
Yeah. So they went back to Hecuba's cave and then Kay and then Hecuba shows her herself in the mirror. She's like, look in the mirror, Kay. Also, Hecuba's got what do you call it when you change your clothes and your face? Makeover. Hecuba's gotten herself a makeover.
Yeah.
She's dressed in like 20s fortune teller wear.
Why do all the witches on this show dress up like a fortune teller at some point?
Yeah, I don't know. Also, I loved Tabitha's fortune teller. Although I do like Hecuba's fortune teller look too. I like the look. I just don't understand what made her change to this this outfit when she was like dressed as a Victorian doll before. I don't know. Right. But maybe she's got style, she's got taste. She's 300 years old at least. So she's got a bunch of clothes.
And then she's got Kay looking like Freddy Krueger.
Oh my God. So she shows Kay the mirror from before, that magical mirror. And she's like, look in the mirror, Kay. And Kay is like all gnarled. Like her face is all nasty and puffy. And Kay goes, oh my God. No, she goes, oh no, I'm in hell. Because there's like flames behind her in the mirror. I'm in hell. And I did not care for this, but she's standing there and Hecuba basically.
It went on for so long for like nothing really.
No,
of it like it does, but it just didn't need to be drawn out that long. I felt like
it was just a threat. Like Hecuba's threatening Kay with like, I'll make you look like this forever if you don't sell me your soul. Again, I don't know why we're doing this because Kay already sold her soul to Hecuba. I do not understand why we're doing any of this. That was one of my notes. I was like, Kay already sold her soul. We did this already.
Right.
Right.
Agreed.
So anyway, then Hecuba changes her bag, shows her the mirror, and shows her Miguel in the mirror. Now, at this point, we need to talk about Charity and Miguel and what their conversation was. I hated this. I hated this so much.
I had secondhand embarrassment about it. And that's, I think, the moment when I was like, wait, this was like a show that was on during times, like a time slot for adults. And like, they were just watching two kids talk about whether they should have sex or not, but like in the most cringy, disgusting way.
And it was clearly meant to be like a PSA for teenagers. It was like, obviously this is not for middle-aged ladies.
No.
You know what I mean? This is geared towards teen, and it was so cringy. So Charity and Miguel come home from like, again, also, what day is it? Because this is the same day Sheridan's funeral. These two were at like a basketball game. It's the morning. What day is it? Do they go to school ever?
Never. I think that's how they get away with making us forget like how young Teresa is, because you never see them in that atmosphere. So it's like so far in the back of your head that you're not worried about it.
Yeah. So they come in from a basketball game that Miguel shot the winning shot, and he says, "I shot it for you, Charity." And she's like, "Oh, you're so sweet. But do you ever want our relationship to be more? Do you ever think this relationship should be more than what it is?" Like,
she never just says the words. It's like, do you want it to be more special? Like, I can't.
It's so gross. And she goes, "I see how all the other girls look at you. They would do anything to be with you. And I never put out." And
right. And like, I know all the other people in our grade. Like, she kept talking about like dates, like do more on their dates. Like, girl, like people aren't just going on dates to screw at the end. Like, they don't have to go on a date to do that. Like,
at all.
More on their dates.
People are going on their dates and they're having, they're doing more than just kissing. I know. And yeah, you're right. She never says like they're having sex. Yeah. She's just like, they go way farther than we go and on their dates. And Miguel's like, well, a lot of guys just exaggerate. She's like, well, I hear what the girls say in the locker room after gym class, and they're saying the same things. This is like, girl, do you want to fuck this man? Is that what this is about? Can you just tell him?
He's like prying him too. Like, do you want to take our like relationship to the next level? Do you want to make it more special? Like, you better not keep bringing that up if you don't want to like,
do that.
Ready. He's not bringing it up.
At all, which is so unrealistic. Once again, I will say the writers of Passions just never met a teenage boy. This is so unrealistic. First of all, he would absolutely be dating Kay because Charity's so fucking weird. She's so weird. Yeah. So he would absolutely be dating Kay. Kay also is so ready to put out. He would absolutely.
Although men do love crazy, and she comes off very unstable.
But like, she's tried to kill him twice now. that he remembers. That those are the times he remembers. She tried to kill him like 5 times now. So I just feel like they don't know teenage boys, but that's neither here nor there. We're gonna go on. So they have this after school special conversation that basically ends in Miguel saying, I'm ready when you're ready, but I think we should wait, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So
and it's interesting because some parts of this show are so like unfiltered and uncensored that like, I don't know why that conversation had to be so fumbled over and so awkward. I mean, I guess because that's who she is, that's what they had to do, but it was just so gross as an adult woman to watch.
Especially after we've watched Sheridan get almost raped and murdered like thrice now, 3 times. Yeah. So, and now she's dead. So dead. But but yeah, like I agree with you. The way that this conversation went was very uncomfortable. I was deeply unsettled by it. It just was like, ugh. Like also teenagers don't talk like that.
Right.
Teenagers don't talk like that.
Our friends are having sex. Should we be having sex?
Yeah, that's whatever. So let's go back to the cave. So Hecuba shows this girl, Kay, Miguel in the mirror, and Miguel is sleeping on his bed, and she's like,
she showed Charity telling Miguel, I have something like special for you, I'll be back. And she's like, oh, she's definitely gonna sleep with him. What you gonna do?
Right.
You gonna give your soul or not?
Right. Right. And then Kay is like, well, how do I know that this isn't a trick? That's what it is. How do I know this isn't a trick, that you're not trying to trick me into giving me your soul? And so Hecubus transports her to Miguel's house and into his bedroom. That's when he falls asleep. That's where he's asleep. Right. And then she turns her into Charity, basically. She's like, you can have sex with Miguel right now. Now's the moment. But like, because he will have sex with you if you look like Charity and sound like Charity. And Kay, to Kay's credit, Kay does say to Hecuba, I want Miguel to make love to me. I don't want him to think that he's having sex with Charity.
She does. Person would say.
Yes, she says that. And then she immediately goes back on it. She immediately is like, well, I guess.
Well, I'll at least know that I was the one that slept with him, right?
Yeah.
For me.
How does this help her? How does this? Kay is not thinking, because she agrees to this basically. Like Hecuba's like, okay, you'll look and sound like Charity, but you'll still be you. Yeah. And Kay's like, okay, I guess half is fine. I know, at least
breaking even.
But how does it help? It doesn't. How does it help her? It's worse than breaking even, actually, because now Miguel feels closer to Charity. Now maybe I would do this. Maybe I would just give him real bad sex, like a toothy blowjob. You know?
Yeah. Because I'm trying to think, you like this unrealistic teenage boy is very sensitive, very emotional, very attached to this girl already. You're going to pretend to be her and have sex with him. And now he's going to be more attached to her.
Yeah, exactly.
In that scenario.
Yeah, I guess the only other way besides her just giving him really bad, nasty sex is that then Charity would be confused, like the real Charity would be confused about the fact that he thinks they had sex, and then they would have like a rift there. I don't know. But you know what? Charity doesn't remember anything anyway.
True.
He knows that. So he'll just be like, she just blacked out during the sex, I guess, like she always does. Classic Charity.
Like, and also that outfit that they put her in, like present her as Charity in. Charity would never wear.
Yeah, like that red like lingerie with the obviously when we see Charity, she is going to, like, for sex, she's obviously going to be wearing white. Like we know we know that they are going to put her in a white negligee because she's so pure. She's just so pure. So that's basically where we are.
Side is what she is.
She's what?
A thorn in my side. I
can't stand her. I cannot stand her. She's so annoying.
It's like, so weird when a character that you obviously know they were trying to make the likable one is so unlikable.
So unlikable. Do you watch Grey's Anatomy?
I do.
Okay. And maybe I'm the only person. I hated Meredith Grey for like 8 seasons. Like I was supposed to like her. I could not stand her at all. And then they finally made her more.
Because people like human characters. When a character is so self-righteous, like, oh, I'm so good, and this, it's like not realistic. It's not relatable.
Yeah, it's not at all relatable.
Yeah.
Especially in Charity's case. This is ridiculous. So that's magic for the week. You got anything else to add?
Just that at the end, Charity had another one of her premonitions.
Oh yeah.
That oh my God, why do I see Miguel about to have sex with me and I'm not there?
Yeah. And I was like, yeah, she's having this premonition about Miguel and her having sex. So then I thought maybe she would just think that that's the future or something. But yeah, she was confused. I was confused too. We're all confused. All confused.
I think it's a flawed plan.
It is a terrible plan. It is, again, I don't know how Kay thinks this will help her, but that's how I always feel about Kay's plans. That's how I always feel about her plans. I'm always like, why do you think, like the fish guts thing, why do you think this is going to help you?
She's very like easily persuaded into things. Like you could tell her wheels were turning, and Hecuba like gaslights her and is like, what's it going to take for you to trust me? I only want your soul. Like,
Yeah.
why would you think I'm untrustworthy?
Yeah. Kay's
Wild.
bless Kay's heart. She's not smart. She's not a smart girl.
No, she's
But
doing her best, which isn't.
But maybe she should go to school. Maybe they should go to school because none of these kids are very bright. And,
No.
and that's because they don't go to, they never go to school.
Never.
Ever. All right. We're going on to Shuis. Oh, this summary is very long. And it's because honestly, the bulk of this week was Sheridan's funeral stuff and Teresa and Ethan. So those two are just so thick. So here's the Shuis summary. Harmony is rocked by the news of Sheridan's murder, and Luis is overcome with guilt and grief. While he's out for a walk, Sheridan briefly appears to Luis and tells him she is alive. Luis is overjoyed at the news, but his joy quickly turns to despair when he realizes she was simply an apparition. Despite knowing she's dead, Luis continues to have a nagging feeling that Sheridan truly is alive, which, spoiler alert, she absolutely is. Luis goes to her funeral to pay his respects, and we learn that Sheridan's consciousness is trapped inside of her paralyzed body. She manages to move one finger, but no one notices. Later, Luis encounters Ethan, who blames him for Sheridan's death. Ethan tells him to leave because the funeral is a private affair for close friends and family only. Over at the police station, the hunt is on for Sheridan's murderers, and Hank is shocked and dismayed that the Harmony PD has actually found the murder weapon and captured Pierre. Sam questions Pierre, but he tells him nothing, confident that the charges against him can't be proven. Sam then gets a fax stating that Interpol and the Paris police have dropped all charges against Pierre and Roger because Sheridan was the key to their case, and now that she's dead, they have no witness. Hank's guilt starts to get the better of him, and he tries to confess, but once again, no one will take him seriously, even though he's the obvious number one suspect. Sam then displays just how bad he is at his job and releases Pierre, even though he's a suspect in a high-profile murder case and a major flight risk. Hank catches up with Pierre, who tells him the reason he's still in town is because his employer insisted he stay until Sheridan is buried. And that was, I know it's a lot, but that's what happened.
My favorite character was in that whole story.
Who?
Walt. That he could never forget a voice.
He could never forget a voice. Is that his name, Walt?
Yeah.
Good for you, because I just called him a looky loo in my notes. Like I didn't know what his name was.
Where did they find? They had to have just found that man off the street and said, "Can you just read off like 6 lines for us today? We'll give you $20."
Like we just added a character. We just added this thing and just like, hey, come in. Just
he literally said at one point, "Cat got your tongue." I was like, stop.
He's and also, this was so frustrating. All of that was so frustrating. And in fact, I think I want to start with that and get that out of the way. We need to talk about the fact that Hank, at the end of the last week's episodes, we find out that there's this witness whose name is what?
Walt.
I'm pretty sure. Whose name is Walt. And Walter says that he heard these two people talking on the pier about murdering Sheridan. One was a Frenchie, as he says, and one was just your regular old American. And he says he recognized the American voices if he ever heard it, because he never forgets a voice. He might forget a face, but he never forgets a voice. And then at the end of the last episodes, we saw him say, Hank came in, said something, and he was like, "That's the voice. That's the voice I heard." But then we pick up these episodes and he says he's talking about, he heard Sam's voice and he knew that Sam was he heard the chief of police because he never forgets a voice. So he knew the chief of police was in the hospital. So
for some reason, like the chief of police is like a celebrity in the town. Like everybody knows who he is. I have no idea who the chief of police is around here.
Me either. I have no clue. I know the name of one chief of police, and that's from when I was a kid in Chattanooga. And his name, I'm pretty sure, was Fred Hammond, I think.
That is a very chief of police name.
It also is a gospel singer's name, so I could also be getting that completely wrong.
I could be getting those two confused.
But I'm pretty sure I know his last name was Hammond, but whatever. But yeah, who knows the chief of the police? unless you're a police officer, you
Right.
know, or like involved in
related to them.
politics. Yeah. There's no reason, like, I don't know who the chief of police is. I don't really care. Just
Oh,
like,
yes, of course.
do your job.
And the best chief of police we've ever seen in this world.
Which
Well,
is
also.
so sad, which is so pathetic. If Sam is the best chief of police that they've ever had in Harmony, they must not have had a police department before. He must be the first. He's the first and the best.
It was literally the Wild West before that.
Because he is terrible at his job.
Yeah.
So they're at the hospital, right? And this guy says, this was I'm in the right week, right?
Yes.
Okay, because I've watched so many episodes of Passions this week that everything's really running together. So I want to make sure.
And the storylines do that, so it's very easy for that to happen.
So this stupid ass witness, Walter, is like, oh, there's the chief of police, Hank Bennett, and Hal Freeman is there and tells Sam to take this guy's statement or whatever, right?
Good, go.
So this guy goes on about never forgetting the voice. And then Eve comes out and says she's finished the autopsy. She says she's finished the autopsy. The timeline on this is fucking insane. Because she says she finished the autopsy and then they just have a funeral for Sheridan. Like that, like
her body was ready to go.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like an autopsy is not the same as embalming a body. So like what Eve did was like tear her body apart. It would take them some time to put it back together. Right. Like it
was all in the same day.
Yeah, she does the autopsy and they have the funeral the same day. It's crazy. But anyway, she delivers the bullets from the gun to Sam. So we're starting to collect evidence, which is good. Sam's doing a good job collecting evidence. They collect the murder gun from the murder gun. They collect the gun from the water. We found the murder weapon. We're doing a good job. Like I was really, as I was watching this, I was like, all right, Harmony PD, this is how you conduct a murder case. Because they did not do Crystal justice. Poor Crystal got murdered in this town and we still don't know who did it. I mean, we know who did it, but they just gave up and was like, oh, well, she did cocaine. So good riddance, I guess. Yeah. Like what?
That's her fault.
Yeah. So, they find the gun, they have the bullets match the gun. They're like, there's prints on this on this gun. We're going to figure this out. Then Hank shows up Hank also is just like following Sam closely around, which also is extremely suspicious to me.
He looks so guilty the entire time. And the entire time that guy waltz around, he will not utter 2 words. They ask him questions and he's like, after this guy just proclaims, I never forget a voice. Like, doesn't that send off a signal for you? Like,
doesn't that say something to you that maybe he is up to no good?
And he's a big mouth too. He's always running his mouth. Why is he being so quiet?
Exactly. Hank is being extremely suspicious through all of these episodes. And I guess, even though Sam, again, it's just bad at his job, but I assume Sam is just kind of chalking it up to he's acting weird because of his grief.
Yeah.
Is the only thing I can muster, but it's still ridiculous because he was the last person to see Sheridan alive.
Right.
Like y'all left him with her and now she's dead.
And he's being extremely quiet.
And he keeps saying, I did it.
And they're like, it's not your fault. And he's like, but I did it. He's really admitting it.
He keeps saying, I did it. And they're just like, no. So whatever. Hank, I mean, I guess I have to give it to Hank. He is trying to admit his fault, I guess. But yeah, he's following Sam around and Sam is just doing a good job for once, collecting evidence. He's like on top of things. They get to the police station and Sam's like, the only thing left to do is catch Pierre and get him to tell us who his accomplice was. And Hank's like, oh, you'll never catch him. He's long gone by now. And Sam's like, how do you know? It's so suspicious. But Hank says, well, he's a professional. I'm sure he wouldn't just stick around after a murder. And then Sam's like, well, bring him out, boys. We got him. Mission accomplished.
And it all like happens in one place and it feels like so quickly. Like where was Sam Bennett when they needed to find like John Benet's killer? Like maybe we need to send him.
No, he would not do a good job. This was a fluke. No,
he was in the right place at the right time.
He wouldn't do a good job. He would let John Bonet's killer go. That's what he would do. He would catch him and let him go. Yeah. That's exactly what happened here, because they called Pierre, sits him down, was like, you're going to tell us everything you know about whatever, blah, 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 this murder. And Pierre's really smug, like, you don't have anything on me, because he knows I didn't touch that gun. My prints aren't on that gun. I didn't pull a trigger. So he's just very smug. Sam says to him, I could have some pull with the judge, get you to get a deal made for you, get you some lesser jail time if you just tell me who you were working with. And Pierre, of course, because he's a professional, he doesn't talk.
Right.
Because, he's probably a dead man if he talks. Honestly, he's a dead man if he talks. Look how far Roger went to kill Sheridan. This went so far. It went too far.
Honestly, the more I watched it, I was like, this literally makes no sense. Like, I know we're in too deep now and they just had to keep going with it, but I'm like, this makes virtually no sense that she never showed any type of like reason that she would try to expose them, or they went all the way to middle of nowhere Harmony to find her and kill her.
She also is not a very good witness. The reason she's not a good witness, like her testimony doesn't carry that much weight, because the only thing that they were using her as a witness for is that Roger and Pierre knew Jean-Luc. Right. That's it. She didn't know what the extent of their relationship was. She didn't know anything about them. She knew nothing about them. Oh, you know what though? They did try to kill her in Paris. Now that I think about it,
right?
They did. I'm you know what? So much has happened. So much has happened that I forgot. Like, at that point, they shouldn't have gone as far as they did when they were in Paris.
Yeah.
When she just kind of had known who they were, kind of at that point, they didn't need to go that far. But after they tried to rape and murder her in the woods in Paris, or in the countryside of Paris, yeah, she is a very good witness, because she's actually a victim and a witness, because they also,
so much time had passed and she hadn't exposed them that like.
Well, she had though. What happened was the Interpol was like looking for them so that they could put them on trial. They've been like on the run, but as soon as they caught them, they were going to put them on trial and use her as a witness, which makes all of this makes sense. Okay. We are wrong. Passions.
Full circling. Okay.
Passions is right.
For once, they make sense. Okay.
For once, they make sense. But you know what? It took so fucking long that, of course, I forgot all about that. Like, we're in episode 360. That shit happened in episode 3.
Literally. Literally.
So, yeah, of course I forgot.
They're bad hitman that it like took this long anyway.
Yeah, and we've had like 3 hitmen at this point, 3 or 4. It's crazy.
How so I don't be this bad.
I can't keep up. So let's see, where were we in this story? Oh, the murder weapon. Talking to Pierre. Sam's talking to Pierre. Pierre won't talk. Then Sam goes off to get like a fax, or he's like, I got to go off to forensics and I'm going to get the forensics. And Pierre talks to Hank and is like, hey, pull yourself together, man. Because once again, Hank is like, I can't deal with this guilt any longer. He's just like, has an outburst in the middle of the police station where he says, I did it. Mm-hmm. And nobody is questioning this man at all. And so when Sam goes away, Pierre tells him like, cool it, dude, you can get us both locked up.
Right.
Chill.
They don't take anything at like face value on this show. They like just fill in what the other person's trying to say instead of just listening to what the person's saying.
You know who is the worst about that? Luis is the absolute worst about that. Luis and Ethan are the absolute worst people about that.
I know what you're gonna tell me.
Who talks like that? Nobody talks like that. I hate that. I hate that. Anyway, so Hank pulls himself together. Sam comes back. The forensics say the fingerprints do not match Pierre's fingerprints, right? No. So then he also gets this fax, and Interpol says, we're dropping this case against Pierre and Roger because Sheridan is dead and she was like our star witness, which makes no sense. Like, y'all haven't built any more of a case. You don't have any other evidence against these people other than the fact that she saw their faces. That's so stupid. they're international drug runners and
Right.
murderers.
Everything was going to fall on her.
They bombed Jean-Luc and Mimi to oblivion, and she didn't see any of that. So that, like, how is she helping you in that case really beyond just being able to ID them? You should have collected way more evidence than Sheridan Crane.
Yeah.
So anyway, they dropping the charges. It is.
Thanks for dropping the charges now that she's dead.
It's inconceivable. Then Sam says to Pierre, I guess I got to let you go. No, you don't. He literally is a major flight risk,
right,
and a major suspect in this murder case. Did you not go to court and like have him arraigned already? If you hadn't, you should have done that by now so that you can keep him. Like, you're charging him. You can charge him with something. Like, you have enough evidence. You have enough evidence to prove that he is possibly involved with this murder. For sure.
Motive, at least.
For sure. So he just lets him walk right out of the PD.
Sam is
bad at his job.
Yeah.
Very bad. Like, I can't stand Ethan Crane, but Ethan is right about one thing. Sam is bad at his job.
I can't wait until we talk about that headline in the newspaper, by the way.
Oh my God. Oh, so actually, let's get through this so we can get to it. We can talk about it now. So Hank catches up with Pierre. Pierre tells him, hey, again, pull yourself together, cool it. And because Hank's like, why the fuck are you still here? Which was my question too. Why are you still here? And he's like, my employer will not let me leave until I see Sheridan in the ground. It's like, why?
Yeah, weird.
She's in a coffin. She's having a funeral.
Yeah. I mean, I would be pretty convinced she was dead. Like,
yeah. I mean, she ain't, but
maybe he wasn't wrong.
Yeah. But yeah, what made him decide to stay? Like, did he know? I don't know. Did he know about this whole setup thing? Like, I don't understand. Did they mean to bury her alive? You know what? We're not there yet. So I'm not even gonna, we're not gonna, but anyway, I'm not gonna.
That's wild. What happens there?
So crazy. Okay. So let's talk about Luis. Poor Luis. Poor Luis. He blames himself for Sheridan's murder, even though it isn't so not his fault. It's not even close to being his fault.
No.
At all.
I love him. I know he's like a lot, but these like 4 episodes, I felt so bad for him. I felt so bad watching him sulk. I felt so bad watching him blame himself, and like Hank just standing there, like just knowing.
Yeah.
And not, I don't understand why I guess we shouldn't talk about, because we know what happens, but maybe not everybody that listens knows what happens.
Right. I mean, honestly, to be completely honest, I know like Sheridan gets buried alive. I know there's like a whole thing, but I remember the big parts, but I don't remember how we got there a lot, you know, because it's been 20 years.
I don't understand why Luis couldn't be in on it. They like do try to like make up some excuses why he couldn't, like they needed him to be emotional, I think is what they end up saying. And it's like, you literally, this could have been a Romeo and Juliet situation as far as I'm concerned.
100%.
You were headed in that direction. Like,
absolutely.
It makes sense to me, but
yeah.
Anyway,
they bury Sheridan alive, and it's horrible. I hated that. No, we're not there yet.
Yeah.
We're not there yet. Okay. So poor Luis is like out here struggling heavy. Okay. He thinks he's to blame for Sheridan's murder, even though he absolutely is not. Teresa and Pilar try to console him. But Teresa, of course, is like mostly concerned with how Ethan feels about Luis and how Ethan perceives their family. But Luis tells them that, you know, Ethan said he doesn't want anything to do with our family, even though that's what Julian said, but that's neither here nor there. That's what he tells them. So Teresa's like all anxious, whatever.
Her motives are so selfish. Like I love her, and her motives made me feel so sick, because I'm like, there's even like a point where she compares her losing Ethan possibly to Gwen to Luis losing Sheridan. I'm like, not the same, really.
Not even close. Considering like you are literally the other woman. Like, right. Like relax.
Not that I'm defending Gwen. I would
never defend Gwen ever. However, Teresa is not all the way right. Okay. Um, so anyway, Pilar's like trying to console her son. And honestly, I felt bad for Pilar too, because they tell us that Pilar thinks of Sheridan as another daughter, and she's still just trying to hold everybody up right now. She's trying to prop up Luis. She's trying to keep Teresa grounded in reality, tethered to the earth. And she is also probably really grieving and deeply upset, and she can't grieve. And so I hate that for Pilar, but she tells Luis, this broke my heart. She tells Luis like he needs to like take a shower and go to bed and get some rest. He tells her, I can't take a shower. I can't take my clothes off.
I'm going to cry.
Because I can still smell Sheridan's perfume on me, and I don't want to let her go just yet. Like, I'm getting chills just thinking about it. It made me so sad. I cried. I did cry. Like, I felt so bad for Luis. And then he goes out for a walk, and he walks around like the harbor pier area where the police are also like conducting their search for that gun. And he sees Sheridan. She comes up to him. It's like, hey, Luis, I couldn't stand to see you in pain. What?
I literally forgot. Like, I think everybody probably knows she's like coming back, right? So for me, for a second, I was like, wait, like, is she letting him in on the secret? Like,
right.
I
Right. Me too. But it really is just like a feeling and apparition. It's just a way that the show is telling us they have this special bond, right? Like they have this special connection where even beyond not the grave, I guess, but even in death, like she can still talk to him. Yeah. And so he's overjoyed, right? That she is back. He hugs her. He says it feels so real. And he's like, okay, we got to go tell everybody. And Hank comes around the corner because Hank's doing Hank, Hank comes around the corner and Louis is like, hey, great news. Sheridan's alive. And he's like, Hank's like, what? Buddy, what?
But you know what bothered me about that is like, I feel like Hank should have given a different reaction to like,
yeah,
knows that she is, you know what I mean? So you would think he would have given a reaction that maybe would have been like, what do you mean? Like,
yeah,
but
yeah,
I guess they can't do that, but
yeah,
I thought his it's like, once you know the long game, you're like, some of this stuff like doesn't make sense, but yeah,
absolutely. So he tells him, buddy, Sheridan's dead. You got to get over it. You got to, you got to go with it. She's dead. It's done. It's over. And Luis is like, yeah, I know, you're right. I mean, they have some back and forth for a while. Like Luis is really like, it was so real. I know she was here. But she wasn't there.
No,
he was having.
They play a lot into with them over this series, this like whole soulmate aspect and how like universes, worlds, other lives like can't keep them apart. And I guess this is like the beginning of that type of story, background for them.
Yeah, it is. I think you're right. I think it is. They have already, those ghosts appeared to her in the woods and were like, now that you found Luis, thou art in danger. Now that you found Luis, thou art in danger. They will kill thee, Sheridan, run. So they started that saying like, every lifetime you find each other and then you die.
Yeah.
So Luis accepts the fact that Sheridan is dead. He's like, yeah, okay. It felt very real, but I get it. She's dead. I'm just having like a weird psychotic break, I guess. I don't know. And but he's still having like this nagging feeling, right? That she's alive. He keeps saying like, it feels like she's still here because they're so connected. They're soul bonded.
Yeah.
And it's sweet. But yeah, let's talk about Luis and this headline in the paper.
First of all, him coming home and Teresa trying to hide that paper in the most obvious way possible.
That's exactly what I wrote in my notes.
You wanted him to see it, right? Because you're like holding it behind your back, like, I have a surprise for you. Like,
yeah, it's ridiculous. He comes in and Sheridan, Jesus Christ, there's so many names. He comes in And Teresa is holding that newspaper. And what was the headline in the newspaper?
Oh, I have the headline. Hold on.
What was it?
Ethan, first of all, when is a headline ever this long and this specific with names when these are like just ordinary people? Like Ethan Crane holds Sam Bennett and Luis Lopez Fitzgerald of the Harmony Police Department responsible for his aunt's death.
Yeah.
She's a celebrity in her own right. Why is it his aunt? Second of all, why couldn't it just be he holds the Harmony Police Department accountable? It's like so specific.
Yeah, like that was information for the body of the article.
Right.
It was like
the article. There it
is. Like it was ridiculous. It was so big. It took up the whole page. Just the headline.
The writer felt like the author of the paper must have been very like lazy that day and was like, here's the art. Now I just have to write a blurb because that's all that there's room left for.
And you're right. Sheridan is the American princess, they told us. So
right. Now she's just Ethan Crane's aunt.
Yeah, who gives a fuck about Ethan Crane when she's the American princess, right? Like she's Meghan Markle, and he's one of those princes that
Harry.
Not even Harry. He's like Prince Charles. Like, yeah, he's like a cousin that nobody cares about, that nobody even knows their name. That's not true. I guess he's in like Society magazines, but whatever. I think Sheridan is more famous. Because they call her the American princess. They don't call him the American prince.
No.
Right? Who cares?
Why wouldn't they say like American princess's nephew blames Harmony Police Department for her death? I just rewrote it for them.
Exactly. You got it right.
He's the star of her death, not even her. This is what men do to us in society.
100%. I 100% agree. This is what men do to us, and they make our narratives their own. Yep. Okay, turn it about.
So
of course, they would center Ethan in Sheridan's whole murder. It's ridiculous. I agree. Ethan and Luis, and they didn't even name her in the headline.
No, but she's famous. She's more. Like
she's the American princess.
No, it's not right. I won't stand for the disrespect that she got in that article.
I agree. I wholeheartedly agree. So that's what the headline is, and everybody's trying to keep this from Luis. Pilar flat out tells Teresa, "Don't let Luis see the paper today." Mm-hmm. And so when Luis comes in, she hides the paper in the most conspicuous way possible. She like holds it behind her back with both arms. And it's like
it's not like he was asking for the paper. Just open it up to a different article and like make it like you were reading it.
Fold the paper up, hold it down by your side. Like you don't have to hide it so like that. You know, walk away.
Hold it, like waving it. Like
yeah. So he obviously gets the paper, reads the headline, is like, this is some bullshit. Also, he gets really upset because he sees that Sheridan's funeral is private, that they are only, it's by invite only, close friends and family only. So he's like so upset, but he's like, they're not going to keep me away from my love. I'm going to that funeral. Ethan starts talking about the Crane, not Ethan, Lord Jesus. Luis starts talking about how awful the Cranes are. Like they're so shitty, and they're Ethan is just like the rest of them, so self-absorbed and arrogant, and thinks everybody has to bend to his whim. And Teresa defends him to Luis, even though, as far as Luis is concerned, Ethan has dragged him in the press.
Not the third time, I would say.
No, not the place or time. Ethan has dragged him in the press and basically blamed him for Sheridan's murder and said that he was going to bring charges against him for it. Maybe pick your moments, Teresa. Right. Maybe now is not the time to like, well, I'm sure he didn't mean that. Girl, shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
Be quiet.
I've noticed most of the characters on this show are so self-serving that like it's not even surprising anymore when it's like you wouldn't take that moment to just let it be about someone else.
Now, I will say what irritated me, a thing that Luis did that Eric aggravated me. They're in the kitchen having this conversation and the phone rings, and it's Ethan, because Ethan is, and we're going to get into that more. Ethan's been concerned that Teresa has not reached out to him in his time of need and grief. right? And so he calls the house. Luis answers. And so he kind of stops short and doesn't say what it is that he's calling about.
Right.
And Luis jumps to the conclusion that Ethan is calling to make sure Pilar won't be late for work. Yeah. He's like, don't worry, if my mama's not already there, I'm sure she's on her way. And like hangs up the phone. And then and Ethan never says a word to him. He tells Teresa that Ethan called to make sure that Pilar was coming to work today.
Like,
that didn't happen. None of that happened. You made that up entirely.
He does that a lot when it comes to Ethan. Like, I think in these few episodes, especially, like, he doesn't even give him a chance to, like, I almost feel like sometimes, like, Ethan was trying to go like easier on a situation with him, and he would just as much as you could rile Ethan's personality up, he'd rile him up enough where he would go at him combatively, where I think if Luis would have held back a little, it wouldn't have been as bad.
Right. I agree. I think Ethan even said in last week's episodes that he had like changed his opinion of Luis, and that he understood that because Sheridan loved him and Teresa thought so highly of him that he must be missing something. So he was ready to give Luis another chance. And he was so grateful for him protecting Sheridan. And honestly, Ethan is looking for somebody to blame. He's blaming the wrong person, but I can't be too mad at him. I'm still mad at him about it, but I can't be too mad at him about it because he did love Sheridan. They've made that very clear, and she's dead. And the person who was supposed to be protecting her was Luis, and he's looking for somebody to blame. So
too, it goes to show that he really, like, if you look at it from a different way, it shows he really trusted Luis with Sheridan, because he felt like when he was with her, he was protecting her.
Yeah.
And like, look, you weren't there, and look what happened to her.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah. So Luis then decides he's going to go down to the church to view Sheridan's body, because also let us not forget what day this day is. This day was supposed to be Ethan and Gwen's wedding day. That's where we are.
Yes.
Today was supposed to be Ethan and Gwen's wedding day. We're having a funeral for Sheridan.
They already had the church book. They were good to go.
They just had to change the decor.
Yeah.
Like
they had flowers. They had everything ready to go.
Yeah, that's true.
It didn't go to waste. And they had a place to have, family gather after at the venue. Oh
my God.
What a stroke of luck if you think about it, really. The money didn't go to waste.
Oh my God, that's so true and so funny. Oh my gosh, I didn't think about it until right now that like a funeral and a wedding are very similar. You invite the same people. You invite the same people. You do it at a church. You have food afterwards, a reception afterwards.
I'm surprised Gwen didn't show up in her wedding dress, to be honest. Like, there's a priest here. Do you want to do it?
We might as well share.
I'm in my dress just in case.
She's like, Sheridan would have wanted this for us.
I cannot wait to get to all that.
Look, and Sheridan's here. Like, let's get married while Sheridan's here with us.
Yeah, because soon she's going to be in the ground. She won't be able to be there. It's fate. Well,
it's fate. That's hilarious. Oh gosh. So they go to the church, and Luis goes to the church, and Teresa follows him down there. Actually, no, she doesn't. She goes down there because she decides she wants to tell Ethan about Sam being his father, like on this day of all days. That we will get to.
She almost slipped like 3 times in this episode to serve herself.
Yeah.
In front of Pilar, with Pilar giving her those daggers, like, girl, if you don't shut your mouth.
She is reckless as hell. A lunatic, which I've been saying forever. Unhinged and undone, this girl. So let's just stick with Luis for right now, and we'll get back to Teresa. Luis goes to the church, and Teresa happens to be there for other reasons, but he assumes that she's there to support him, came there to support him, right? And they view Sheridan's body, pay the respects, and he tells her, I loved Sheridan. you know, I feel very responsible for this, but I also like have this feeling that she's not dead. He keeps saying this, right?
Mhm.
At one point, he even has a conversation with a priest who is not Father Lonigan. Who is this priest?
Weird. I was thinking the same thing. And I was so annoyed by that. And I knew exactly the direction. It was so predictable.
Who is this priest? I've never seen him. He called him Father something, but I don't remember what his name was. But he tells the priest that he keeps having this feeling that Sheridan is here physically with him. You know, she's here. And the priest, like you said, is so predictable. The priest is like, she is with you. She is here. You're right.
Alive. I was
She
like,
is
let me
alive.
guess, in his heart. Okay, yeah, we got it.
She's alive in your heart. She'll be
Yeah.
with us always. You know, the same old that, you know, priests give you. They're here with you in your heart, whatever.
But like, obviously, this man is unraveled. Like, maybe a better choice of words. Because he was like, she is alive?
Yeah. Seriously, she is alive.
His ears perked up like a dog. Like, I'm right?
Like, honestly, like, what do you know that I don't know, priest? What is it?
Tell me everything.
Tell me all that you know. And then the priest just gives him some Bible stuff. So, you know, he's like, okay. Yeah, real helpful. That was very helpful. So during this time, there's some back and forth with Ethan and Gwen, and I think we're gonna put that in with the Teresa stuff.
Yeah,
just stick with Luis and Sheridan.
I think that's where I put it.
Stuff right now. There's some back and forth with Gwen and Ethan. Ethan basically telling him that he needs to leave because this is for friends and family only, and whatever. But at one point, Luis is talking to Sheridan, and I can't tell you what he said to her. He just like was saying like, I love you. I'm sorry.
Literally said to her, even in death, you look so beautiful, so alive.
Oh,
put your finger under her nose. She has to be breathing.
She also was breathing so big, like her chest was coming up and down so high. I was like, I can see her breathing. I can see her breathing.
I can imagine she like felt like it. I guess maybe not everybody knows what a dead person feels like, but she probably felt like warm, not like death.
They must, and I don't remember, but I know soap operas do this. They must have given her some kind of thing that made her body like paralyzed, and made it seem like her body was dead. That made her body act like a dead body. So it was like cold to the touch, and like, so her blood's not flowing as quickly, but it's like slowly enough or fast enough that she is technically still alive, but like she can't move her body because she's not getting any oxygen to her limbs. I don't know. But yeah, she's alive, and her finger starts to twitch. Her finger starts to she's like, because we can hear her voiceover. She's like, Luis, I'm alive. Why can't you hear me?
This is my worst nightmare, because this is like, you ever see the movies where somebody's getting operated on and they like can feel everything? Claustrophobia.
I remember that movie specifically. I never saw it. It's called Awake, though. I remember watching the previews. And
maybe is in it.
Probably. I feel like it was in 2005 or something. She was real big then. But I remember seeing the previews for that and being fucking terrified. I was like, is this a thing that can happen? And then like looking it up and realizing like it absolutely is a thing that can happen. And this is the reason why I am terrified to ever, will never get an elective surgery. And if I ever have to get like a surgery to save my life, I'm going to be so terrified, but I'll do it obviously. But I went to the dentist to get a root canal one time, and the fucking anesthesia wore off in the middle. Yeah, like he was in my mouth and I was like,
oh my God.
Yeah. Yeah. And he was like, oh, I'm so sorry. Like that happens sometimes. Like some people, it just like, so I need like more anesthesia than other people. When I go to the dentist,
your body just like metabolizes.
I think so. I guess. I don't know. I guess so. I don't know.
Oh my gosh. New fear unlocked. Great.
I'm sorry. So I just have to tell the dentist that, well, my dentist knows, but like, you know, just make sure you give me like 50% more
extra
Novocaine, because I'm going to feel this, you know, if you don't. But anyway, yes, terrifying. Also, my actual biggest fear besides birds is being buried alive. Like that is I'm like suffocating or drowning, being like but very much being buried alive just is so scary to me. Oh, I don't even like putting my blankets over my head. Yeah. Oh, so I'm already not looking forward to these episodes, to be honest, because
it's so, you know what? It would make sense that like Eve is like part of the mastermind behind this plan.
Of course
like,
it would.
I mean, you know what? It's like, it's hard being the only person working in town. She can only monitor so much. It's like when you have too much on your plate at work and it's like, oh, I can only do the surface level of everything. I can't make everything great. It's just going to be good enough.
I can do everything passable, but nothing is going to be done well.
No, that's her entire career.
That's very much Eve. And somehow she was Doctor of the Year, but I guess that was fake. But that's so true. So Sheridan's finger moves. She's awake in her head. Her consciousness is yelling at Luis, I'm alive. Why can't you hear me? Everybody who comes to pay their respect, she's like talking to them like, I can hear you. Why can't you hear me? She's like, oh my God, where am I? What is going on? And so that's where we are with Sheridan. Nobody knows that she's alive, but she's alive.
That whole thing has me very upset.
Yeah, she's very much alive. We talked of that's everything, right? For them.
Yeah. Also, like you would think somebody, if you're a doctor, you probably know things like that are possible. So like maybe somebody should be going in and checking on her. Like, you know, does she seem like her mind's racing in there? Like maybe inspect her with a little more. Maybe
we give her a little like something, CAT scan.
Yeah.
I don't know. All right. Where are we going now? Fate. Oh, Teresa, Chad, and Whitney. Teresa, Whitney.
This is where all my notes are.
Girl, so many pages of notes. Look at this. Ridiculous. It's like, I think it's 5 or 6 pages. It's a lot. So buckle in. Actually, that wasn't even all of them because I have the Chad and Whitney stuff too. Damn, that's a lot. All right. So here are the summaries. So I'll do Teresa and Ethan first, then Chad and Whitney. Okay. All right. Following Sheridan's death, Teresa is being barred on all sides from contacting Ethan. She goes to the mansion to see him, but is told by Gwen, Julian, and Rebecca that he doesn't want to see her and wants nothing to do with her or her family because he blames Luis for Sheridan's death. Ethan, meanwhile, is concerned that he hasn't heard from Teresa. And Gwen, Julian, and Rebecca tell him she's a selfish girl who clearly cares nothing for him. Teresa's anxiety at not seeing or speaking to Ethan grows as she worries that Gwen will use Sheridan's death to manipulate him into marrying her. So she decides to crash Sheridan's funeral and contemplates revealing the truth of Ethan's paternity to him. At the church, Teresa and Ethan clear up all misunderstandings, and Ethan tells her that he does blame Luis for Sheridan's death, but that doesn't change the way he feels about her. He also tells her that they need to tell Luis about the relationship before he finds out from someone else. Also, Gwen and Rebecca continue to scheme to keep Ethan and Teresa apart. That's Ethan and Teresa. Okay. Now we're going to talk about Chad and Whitney real quick. Here's the Chad and Whitney stuff. Following the whole pregnant Tiffany Thomas debacle, Chad is understandably hurt and decides it's time to leave Harmony. Simone begs him to stay and then blames Eve for Chad's leaving, calling her, quote, the worst kind of bigot. Eve apologizes to Chad, and the two seem to settle their differences. As he is leaving, Chad runs into Whitney. She apologizes to him again for believing the rumor about him, but he tells her it's too little too late and bounces. Later, Chad goes back to his room because he forgot some things and finds Whitney there crying. He begs her to just have a conversation with him and be honest with him about her feelings, but she, of course, does her typical Whitney deflection. She goes back to her room, and he plays her a song to send her some sort of message that he loves her, but Simone is the one who gets the message and tells him, saying she knows he loves her but can't speak it out loud. Simone, I love Simone though. I really do.
First of all, I think like obviously Whitney is beautiful, we know that, but like Simone is gorgeous also. Like, why do we act like she's like the ugly sister?
I don't know.
Ugly, like unfortunate sister.
I do not know, because she's gorgeous.
So annoying to me.
She's gorgeous and she's smart. And she's the only one who's like listening to him and believing him and like has faith in him and helping him in any way.
It really bothers me.
It bothers me too. It really bothers me too, because Whitney, I love Whitney as a character overall, right? As we go along. But right now she sucks. She sucks. She just can't be honest with Chad. She's doing all this nonsense. She says really mean things to him. Is really rude, really nasty. And I get that she's like having these conflicted feelings because she doesn't want to go against her parents. And she's never felt this kind of stuff before. But that's really no excuse to be like so nasty and so rude.
She's like the definition. You remember that book, Why Men Love Bitches?
No, I never heard of it.
There was literally a book called Why Men Love Bitches. And this love triangle is like the epitome of that.
I have never heard of this.
Yeah.
Is it like a novel?
It's like more like one of those, not like a self-help book, but like it's like self-improvement book. Like
it's like a book. Is it by a man?
I don't remember actually.
There's like a lot of books by men. I've noticed this. There's a lot of books by men. And also this is just like a niche. There's all these men on the internet who tell women how to be women and like how to get a man kind of thing.
My mom bought me years ago a book that like Steve Harvey wrote about that. I was like, Mom,
girl, that
is
look
his area of expertise. Thank you though.
Number one, I am obsessed with the fact that your mom bought you that book. Okay. Number two, I fucking hate that book and I hate Steve Harvey. I think I cannot stand.
I'm pretty sure it was him. And I was like,
no,
so random.
It 100% is him. The name of the book is Think Like a Man, Act Like a Woman. It's horrible. It's a terrible, and it's like a bestseller. So many people bought that book. It's like, women, stop listening to men telling you, like, he's an idiot. Don't listen to him. You are a woman. You know, your womanhood is what it is. So you just be a woman, and that's how you be a woman. Like, fuck him. I hate Steve Harvey.
Yeah.
I really do. I cannot stand this trend of men telling women how to be women.
Right.
I'm not here trying to tell you how to be a man.
So funny. I remember that years ago, and I was like,
That's
this was
hilarious.
the person that you went to that you thought was going to help me land my guy.
That's hilarious. That is hilarious.
She was trying. She was trying.
It's sweet. I mean, it's precious. It's sweet. Our moms buy us things that we're like, okay, girl. Like, you're like, thank you, mama. Like,
yeah.
No, okay. Although if my mom bought me that book, which she wouldn't, because she hates Steve Harvey too. Like, that's one of the things we share in common. We both we recently, when I was home for Christmas, we really had like a whole rant about like 2 hours where we just ranted about Steve Harvey and how much we hate him.
So funny.
And how much we hate him.
Everybody has like that one person though, right?
He sucks. Well, my nemesis is Kristen Bell. I do not care for her.
That is so interesting.
And it's a long-standing. I have a long-standing feud with Kristen Bell that she knows nothing about.
You just think like the persona is like false.
You know what it was, and I may have said this on the podcast before. I'm sorry if I'm repeating myself. There was a video that was like going around for 2 years of her on the Ellen show, and Ellen brought out a sloth and she started crying, and she made such a big deal. I was just so annoyed. She annoyed me, and every time I saw that video, it just kept coming up. Like, it was just It was so prevalent, and I was just like, Kristen Bell,
damn you,
damn you
again. I can't escape you.
I honestly used to I didn't like her as an actress for a while, but now I just say it as a joke. She's all right. The Good Place was good. Part
of your personality,
right? Like, that's just part of my thing. It's part of my shtick. I don't like Kristen Bell. Whatever, she's fine. I like The Good Place was good. So let's talk about Teresa. Let's talk about somebody I love. I'm trying to save this girl. Oh, Teresa.
Save her soul.
Teresa. So,
wait. First, can we talk about the new Gwen?
We absolutely can talk about the new Gwen. There is a new Gwen in town. Gwen 2.0. She's And that actress is Natalie. Is her name Zay or Z? I think it's Zay.
Z. I don't know.
It's Zea. So make of that what you will. But she and this Ethan Travis Schultz are married in real life.
Mm-hmm.
So that's actually kind of cute. Like and they're still together.
Because like I don't see the chemistry.
I don't see the chemistry either.
Chemistry. I'm not taking that away from them.
I agree. I don't see the chemistry either. Like, but again, she just showed up. So maybe it's just like they need to get into the groove of things. Also, I like the way she plays Gwen. She's
not yet, but like I feel like maybe already. She's like plays her a little bit like less sinister, I feel like. Yeah. As time goes on. Like you could see she tries to like give Gwen some type of like redeeming qualities. Doesn't usually work.
She uses more levels than Liza. Like she uses this because Liza blonde Gwen, which personally I think Gwen should always be blonde. Like that's my biggest problem. My biggest problem with the second Gwen is that she's not blonde. That's my
own on her if she doesn't want to dye her hair.
Yeah, she needs to be blonde. That's kind of the whole thing between her and Teresa. Like she's blonde and Teresa's like this deep dark brunette. Like that's how we can see that they are opposites, right? Like
agreed.
But she plays her more human. Like she gives her more levels. It's not like constant like rage and or constant just like patheticness. It's like some peaks and valleys. So the performance is good. I think this is just because I watched this show for so long and Liza was just Gwen. Like she's iconic. She's iconic Gwen. So these like 200 episodes where we have Natalie
out of place.
Yeah, it just feels like that's not Gwen.
Especially because like it's not long lasting and
she's only here for a short while.
Yeah.
So she stays for like 200 episodes. She's on this show for a while. But Liza was on it for basically 8 years.
Yeah.
Right?
I love Liza. I think she is Gwen.
She is Gwen. That's icon. She is the icon of Gwen. Like she that is Gwen. When I think Gwen, I see that face. I see that stupid bob. Like she is Gwen. Yeah. I follow her on Twitter. She's like a mom. She's a bunch of kids and like it's like a mommy blogger.
Yeah.
She's like a mommy blogger now. Like good for her.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, what are we talking about? Teresa.
So we start off like when blatantly I think they start off there together, right? Because she stays with Ethan to comfort him after Sheridan's death. And she's just like being like so desperate. Like the aunt just died and she needs to let him know like she still wants to marry him.
Yes. Okay. Gwen is with Ethan and she is doing everything she can. She's like, do you need a back rub? She gives him a massage, and again, in her defense, Sheridan was her best friend. So she says.
I hate that narrative. I don't know if you guys have ever talked about that. I hate that they constantly try to push that narrative of them being best friends. You barely ever saw them together. They had met like one time and they're like, oh, it's my best friend.
We talked about this when Gwen decided to make Teresa her best or not best maid. What is it called? Maid of honor.
Yeah.
But she decided to make Teresa her maid of honor. And I was like, but wait, isn't Sheridan her best friend? And then several episodes passed and then they decided like, oh, Sheridan can't be the maid of honor because it's too high profile and she's under threat or whatever. So the FBI thought it would be bring too much attention to her, which makes sense. But yes, the fact that I forget that they're best friends.
That's why they have to keep saying it because they've done nothing visually to like prove that they're best friends. So they just have to keep saying it to remind us, oh yes, of course, they're best friends.
Yeah, like Gwen goes and complains to Sheridan about Ethan sometimes. That's it. A best friend that does not make.
No, agreed.
So, and whatever. So yeah, she's like, Sheridan was my best friend and I'm grieving too. And we should be together right now, of course.
So gross. Like she was saying all that just to like make their bond stronger, not because it was genuine.
No, yeah. And she says, I've already lost Sheridan. I don't know what I would do if I lost you too. I think I would die. All of this stuff.
Good
Ethan tells her,
girl.
you haven't lost me. Don't worry, you haven't lost me. And like they hug, whatever. He goes, but I'm just worried that you won't want me because I'm putting you through all of this shit, which of course I would not want. I don't want you.
No.
Why does she? I still don't get why she wants him. I know other people have written in and said like it's because she just wants to be the head of the Crane family and she wants the power and the influence, but like she is rich and powerful in her own right. So I do not understand this. I'm sorry, Zach, I still don't understand it.
I think it's a lot too of like, just because she's feeling rejected by him, she's trying so hard to make him pick her. So I think it's just her ego's bruised a lot.
Okay. Yeah, I'll take that. I'll buy that. So he says to her, I don't know if you'll want me after I put you through all of this. She goes, I will always want you, Ethan. We were meant to be together. Okay. Ethan tells her, maybe it's not such a good idea that you stay the night over here. Maybe you should go home. Basically, he's like, maybe you should go home. And she's like, no, I need to be here with you. And we're going to talk about the stuff that happens before this, but I just want to say she spends the night, but that man makes her sleep in a chair.
And this is the thing.
He sleeps in the bed. And she sleeps in like an armchair.
And I feel like he says a lot of things to her to make it seem like, oh yeah, you're the one that I'm going to pick. Like saying, oh yeah, I'm scared you won't want me or this or that. But then it'll be followed by like, I wonder why Teresa hasn't called. It's like, oh, if I was her, I'd be like, I literally think I'm a lunatic. Like, am I losing my mind? Like,
yeah, I wouldn't do this if I were her. Like, I wouldn't put up with this. This is ridiculous.
Like, a lot for me. When you figure it out, why don't you come find me?
Right. He then pulls out all of these letters that Sheridan had written to him. And he's like reading through her old letters. And then he's like, yeah, there was a letter that Sheridan wrote to me about you. And he reads this letter to her that says, where Sheridan says that he and Gwen are the only couple she's ever seen that she knows for sure were meant to be together. Why are you reading this to her when you literally called off your wedding?
And also
tonight.
Sheridan,
when you called off your wedding tonight.
No. Sheridan,
or yesterday.
Based on what? What did you see that made you feel that way?
When did you see it?
Right.
She's been in Paris all this time.
Right.
Up until like a year ago, she's been in Paris. When did you see it?
Gwen wrote that note and sent it to him and pretended to be
So in the closet, he's pulling all these notes out of the closet, and she sees that teddy bear that Teresa won for him at the arcade. And she's like, where'd you get that teddy bear? Where'd this come from? He's like, oh, Teresa gave it to me. I hope this doesn't make you feel uncomfortable, whatever. And she's like, oh no, whatever. I know you have to do what you have to do. I'm fine. And then he goes off to the bathroom or something. And he just starts stabbing that teddy bear with a letter opener, where she's just like, Teresa, you'll never take Ethan away from me. Just like yelling it and stabbing that bear. She's a nut.
She is Glenn Close in Fatal Attraction.
She absolutely is.
She's about to boil a rabbit. Any minute.
Boil that teddy bear.
Yeah.
Feed it to Ethan. Feed
Literally.
it to Teresa. So she's stabbing that teddy bear, and then I guess this was weird to me. Did she just take it downstairs and put it in the trash can downstairs so Ethan wouldn't see it? Like, what was that about?
Yeah, I guess.
Because actually they didn't even show us her doing that. What they showed us was Teresa comes over and she finds the teddy bear. So but let's talk about what's going on with Teresa before we even get her to the mansion. Teresa is at home trying to console Luis, but really more worried about herself, right? Like
Completely.
she's getting very emotional because Luis keeps talking about how Ethan is a typical Crane, arrogant, demanding, unreasonable, and that he's just like this typical Crane man. And Teresa, of course, comes to Ethan's defense saying, "You don't know." Luis is like, "How do you know? What do you know about it?" Right? Stay on that train, Luis. Stay there, please. Like, can we just do? And they never. He'll ask her the question and then just says the answer that he believes. He just talks for everybody all the time. Often he talks for women, but he does it to Hank too. He talks for her and says, "Oh, I forgot you were doing the flowers for that wedding." Like, this man knows nothing. You know nothing, Jon Snow. And yet you still continue to talk over people when they're trying to tell you things. But anyway,
this is when she almost blows up that he is not a Crane. This is when she wants it to come out of her mouth. And thank God Luis walks away and Pilar is like, my favorite quote from Pilar, she goes, "This girl is obsessed. I'm afraid for her."
That's I put that in bold letters because I feel like that needs to be the name of this episode. This girl is obsessed. I'm afraid for her. This girl is obsessed. But you just now seeing that, Pilar, mama? You just now seeing that? Yes, she is obsessed and kind of possessed, to be honest. Like, a spirit has possessed her.
Honestly, when Pilar she says something else about like, "This is why I never wanted my like children to be involved with the Cranes. I knew it would be like a bad thing." Like, you know what? Maybe she is also psychic because she was like, "I know this can't be good."
She just knows the Cranes because she's been there. Like, she just knows them. And Pilar, oh, this was crazy. Teresa, gosh, she's a fucking nut. Teresa says to Pilar, because Pilar's like, "You need to chill the fuck out. Can't you see that Luis is hurting? Can't you see, like, and you can only think about yourself, blah, blah, blah." Pilar says, "A woman is dead. A woman your brother and Ethan both cared for very deeply, and all you can think about is your wonderful date." Because Teresa was like, "When Ethan left me tonight, everything was wonderful after our wonderful date, and I got him a teddy bear and blah blah blah." It's like, girl, Sheridan is dead. Sheridan is dead, as far as you know. And Teresa says, "Well, all I can think about is that Gwen is using this time to get closer to Ethan, and that he's gonna forget all about me." That's all she can think about.
I mean, but she's not wrong.
She's not wrong.
She's not wrong.
That's the thing.
You are crazy.
Like, she's not wrong, and she is wrong. Like, she's not wrong for thinking that Gwen is like trying to use this.
That's exactly what she's doing.
But she is wrong for the way that she is acting about it. Like, the whole way she's going about it. So Teresa tries to call the mansion, right, to talk to Ethan. Julian answers the phone, tells her she has no place to call in the mansion, no reason to call. Ethan doesn't want to talk to her, wants nothing to do with her family, right? I don't know why she would call the mansion. Why wouldn't she call his cell phone?
That's a good point, actually.
Why wouldn't you just call his cell phone?
He, like, obviously, I know they have to, like, create roadblocks and everything, but Julian and Rebecca are especially disgusting in these episodes.
Yeah, no, they are absolutely disgusting. So she gets on the phone with Julian. Julian tells her all that shit. Then she decides, you know what? I'm just gonna go to the mansion. So she goes to the mansion. Gwen so this is where we pick up with Gwen and that teddy bear, right? The teddy bear is like all destroyed in the mansion. Also, Teresa just walks in. Everybody just walks in and out of everybody's homes in this show.
Especially like for a high profile family, like, where's the security?
Right. You would think if Julian doesn't want Teresa on the property, he would just tell security, like, don't let Teresa on the property. Right. But she just walks right in. So she comes in, she sees the teddy bear in the trash. She picks it up. She says,
I love this.
She says, "This teddy bear meant everything to Ethan." Huh? A teddy bear?
Pathetic if so.
A teddy bear? It meant everything. It did not mean everything to him. He said it meant everything to him. How did this happen to it?
And she says it about 6 times. Like she has to keep reminding herself he said that it meant everything to him. Like, girl, we get it.
Yeah. Okay. She's like, how could he do this? She also goes, I've lost him. I've lost her. She's crying. That's her main line. I've lost him.
Also, could I just say, if a man actually did do that to a teddy bear I gave him, I'd be like, oh, he's clearly unwell, because like what grown man would do that? That would be a turnoff for me. I wouldn't be sad. I'd be nervous.
Deeply unsettling. Very nervous. Deeply unsettling. I need to get out of this house. I'm in danger. This is a bad place for me. Yeah, no, that you were absolutely right. Like, no, that's terrifying. It's scary. But no, not for Teresa. Teresa is sad and devastated that he has apparently trashed this teddy bear. So mutilated it, really is completely just
headed.
Yeah, it's gone.
Limbs are gone.
Guts are just falling out of it. Meanwhile, Gwen's like watching her from the stairs, like above, just like glaring down at her. It's like, that's right, Teresa, you have lost him. And then she comes down the stairs and says to Teresa, what are you doing here? You need to leave right now. Teresa says, I have every right to be here. Ethan loves me and I love him. And Gwen says, if Ethan wanted you here, he would have called you. Did he call you?
Can I also just say the way that they dress Gwen too is like criminal.
Yeah, she looks bad. She looks really bad.
So bad. Why did they do that to her? It's like they didn't want her to look cute.
It feels like they're doing everything to make us root for Teresa.
Yeah.
That's what it is. So it's like
so much older than she is. It's just like they try to make her look so.
Yeah, I don't even remember what she's wearing, but it was like a dark like pantsuit or something.
Yeah, she looked pantsuit and like almost like a zebra print shirt, which like I'm into animal prints, but like it was just so unattractive. And I don't feel like they dressed Liza like that. They gave her the sexy red dress. They would give her cute outfits.
Yeah. And maybe they'll give her some better outfits. Cause I did see Liza in some bad stuff. Like she did have some bad moments. So maybe it's the grief right now. Maybe that's what it is. She's not thinking straight. She's just like putting on whatever she can. But
you're trying to get that man. That is not the outfit for it
at all. Not even close. But it is better than Ivy's lingerie that she had on before, where she's wearing his mom's underwear. That's so weird.
Yeah.
Oh God, Gwen. Oh, not poor Gwen. She sucks. So
it's awful.
So she's telling Teresa, I'm the only person Ethan needs right now. You need to leave. Teresa asks, where is Ethan? I want to see him. I'm going to go see him. Gwen tells her, I'm a member of this family, to which Teresa says, no, you're not. I was like,
period.
Yes. I was like, yes, exactly, Gwen, baby, you are not a member of this family. Like the audacity, that man called off it. You would be. You're not. He called off the wedding. So you're not a member of the family. And she says, Teresa, Gwen says this, I'm going to be Mrs. Ethan Crane. So you need to go home and leave Ethan alone. You've lost, Teresa. Try and be a gracious loser, which is so rich coming from this bitch whom this is supposed to be your wedding day. Right. But why are you not getting married to that man? It's because of me, Teresa. Yeah. You're the loser. Not like, I wish Teresa would have said that to her. Like, girl, last time I checked, he left you for me, left you at the altar for me.
We check the scoreboard here.
Yeah, let's check the score. If we're comparing who's the loser here, you are really the one who has lost him, not me. I really just gained him. I just got him.
Right.
So
I don't know. News.
It was so weird that she would say that she call her a loser and tell her to be a gracious loser when she has like, also, it's not a game.
No.
Like it's not a game. So there's no, I mean, I guess you can call them winners and losers, but
you're all losers in my opinion.
Yes, for real. And it's weird to be fighting over Ethan with this little girl.
Yeah, literally.
If my boyfriend or fiance left me for some teenage girl, that's that.
Yeah.
That's that.
I agree.
He clearly has issues.
He needs a therapist. He doesn't need either of you. He needs therapy.
He really does. So then Gwen like notices the teddy bear and says, "Oh, if Ethan really loved you, do you think he would have torn up that teddy bear like he did?" So she uses that, lies, you know. Then Julian and Rebecca come out and, like you said, are particularly disgusting.
They are honestly a match made in heaven in some ways.
Mm-hmm.
And then
match made in hell.
Yes, perfect. They're all like ganging up on her, and it's like she's literally a child.
Yes, she's literally a child. Julian tells her that she was nothing to Ethan, just a distraction, a dalliance, and all the Crane men have them, and Cranes don't marry the housekeeper's daughter. And again, Teresa has a moment of like, maybe I should just tell you then, you know?
Yes.
Really? Oh, really? Cranes don't marry the housekeeper's daughter? Well, maybe Bennett's do, because that's what your son is, a Bennett.
On the tip of her tongue at least like 6 times in these like 5 episodes.
Yeah, she's itching to drop that bomb.
Yeah.
She really is, which I get. Honestly, I would have told him by now.
You know what? It's interesting to me because it goes to show it really just wasn't about being a Crane. Like she really did love him, that it was like, oh yeah, I'll just like blow up his whole life and we could have like a simple little life together. Like that's not how it works.
Yeah. But see, like my perspective too is, you have this information. Is he going to be happy that you kept it from him? Right? Like for me, I feel like I would have had to expose that immediately. And it's just like, hey, Ethan, I need to talk to you. Like, I found this shit. I'm not really sure what it means. I think I know what it means, but maybe, you know, figure it out for yourself, you know?
Yeah.
Because he will eventually find out. And then he will also find out that you knew and didn't tell him.
Yeah.
For a long time.
That incriminates you.
Exactly. And then it makes it seem like you want it to just be a Crane.
Yeah.
Teresa.
Ivy almost outs it these couple of episodes too.
Ivy almost outs it all the time. Bless her heart. She goes back and forth. She doesn't know what she wants. She really doesn't.
That's when Ethan reads the article. So
yeah. Oh yeah. So Ethan comes downstairs. Teresa, Julian, Rebecca, Gwen successfully run Teresa off. Teresa yells for Ethan at one point, but he faintly hears her and goes running after her. But by the time he goes downstairs, she's gone, and everybody tells him he's crazy. Like they gaslight him heavy in these episodes. They really do.
Yes.
And once he comes downstairs, he sees the newspaper, he sees the headline, he sees the quote that says that he himself blames them and will be bringing charges against the Harmony PD. And he's like, I didn't say this shit. Who the hell would do this? Julian had called the paper and given them a quote saying that Ethan said this, right? He's like
Ethan goes, I know better than to be quoted like this. I'm a lawyer.
Yeah.
You didn't say anything illegal. Like, what?
I'm a lawyer. I'm so smart. He's the dumbest person Miguel's the dumbest person on this show, but he's a close second. He's a close second. He's so stupid. So I wouldn't be surprised if he gave the newspaper a quote like that at all. Yeah. You know,
just like rambling.
Yeah.
Stream of conscious.
Doesn't even know he's talking on the record. Is just talking, shooting the shit. Doesn't realize he's being interviewed at all. But he also again brings up, man, I haven't heard from Teresa. It's so odd that she wouldn't call me in this time, my time of need. And everybody's like, yeah, she's a shitty girl. She's only here for the good times. She's not a girl. She's not wife material. She's not a thoughtful girl.
Yeah.
She's a cold. Gwen even calls her cold. Gwen even is like, I think that's pretty cold of her that she wouldn't even call you when she knows what's going on with you and how close you and Sheridan are.
The audacity of these cold ass rich people to be calling anyone else cold.
It's crazy. Okay, so let's skip ahead a little bit because I've been talking for a long time. Let's skip ahead to the church. Okay,
we're there.
All right. So we go to the funeral. Right, Luis is there. Teresa's there with Luis. That we talked about this earlier. Now Gwen and Ethan show up. Also, I want to talk about the fact that when Teresa and Luis get to like this funeral, they're like, why is no one here? They're like, where is her family? Because nobody's there.
People would have showed up to that wedding too.
Yeah. Yeah. Where is her family? But anyway, so they're there. Teresa is there because she has decided that she is ready to tell Ethan that he is Sam Bennett's son. That is why she is there. Yeah. Even though Luis thinks that she's there to support him.
What better place to do it, right? I mean,
what? Right now at your aunt's funeral, I have to tell you, I have to break this news to you, even though your aunt was murdered last night. Okay. Maybe even early this morning. I'm not sure. I'm really not sure.
Your spirit now.
Yeah. Let me just tell you that your entire life is a complete lie. She's not really your aunt. So all that sexual tension you were feeling for her, you could have acted on her. You could have acted on.
So true. Yeah. Even like when he has like the dream about her earlier in like these episodes and all the it's a lot. It's very Freudian.
Yeah. I actually forgot about the dream. He tells Gwen at one point that he had a dream that Sheridan came to him and told him that he should marry Gwen. Yeah. So that's part of this whole bullshit too. Anyway, they're at this funeral. As soon as Gwen and Ethan get there, Ethan is like, what the hell are you doing here? To Luis. He's like, let me talk to you outside. So they go outside. They have this awful conversation where Ethan tells him, you need to leave. You need to leave now. I do hold you responsible. And he's really so nasty to Luis.
Yeah.
He says some of the nastiest stuff. Like he says, you were supposed to be protecting her, but you were off like trying to get a promotion.
Yeah.
He just is really horrible. And Luis takes it. Like he really takes it for like the majority of it. And then Ethan goes a little bit too far into because he calls him like disgusting or something. Ethan calls him some name. I cannot remember. It's in my notes, but I have so many notes. This is why I try to not to take too many notes, but this week was very hard. He says something. Ethan insults Luis in some way. And Luis is like, that's rich coming from the guy who dumped his fiance the day of his wedding.
Yes.
for some new chick.
Yes.
And then Ethan is like, oh, you want to talk about that? Let's talk about it then. So he's about to explode everything at this funeral, but he doesn't. It doesn't happen. But Ethan's wheels start turning. He's like, we have to tell Luis. We have to tell Luis.
Yeah.
So meanwhile, Gwen's like inside with Teresa. This was disgusting. Gwen's inside with Teresa and she tells her, Gwen says like, you need to leave. Teresa's like, this is a church. Anybody can come here. And then Gwen escorts Teresa over to Sheridan's body and is like, listen, what do you hear? And Teresa's like, I don't hear anything. She says, well, you're not listening closely enough, because if you listen closely enough, you'll hear Sheridan telling Ethan he needs to marry me. The fuck?
I had in my notes, I want Teresa to hit Gwen so badly in front of God and Sheridan's body and everyone.
Me too.
This is what I mean about the narrative of them being best friends is so false, because everything has like a tone to it of, like just like snark. And it's like, who would behave that way at their best friend's funeral?
I know. It's disgusting. It's disgusting. Like, I don't even think that I would have words with Teresa in that moment. Like, I feel like I would just be like, oh, we will deal with this tomorrow.
Yeah.
We're not going to deal with this today.
I'm grieving. Stay away from me.
Yeah. Just stay over there. Leave me alone. We'll deal with this tomorrow. But that is not how Gwen is doing. That's not how she's taking this. So, outside, Ethan tells Luis to leave. But Luis doesn't really leave. Luis tells him, Luis starts talking about him telling Ethan to stay away from Teresa. He's like, I know my sister was helping you with the wedding, but now that that's all done, please leave my sister out of your shit.
Yeah, she'll never have a reason to be around you people again.
Yeah. And Ethan goes back in the church and talks to Teresa, says, I need to talk to Teresa alone, and sends Gwen out, and Gwen goes and talks to Luis. And Ethan tells Teresa, like, we got to tell Luis, like, he literally says you're deluding yourself if you think we can have a relationship without telling Luis, because she's delusional. You haven't seen that? You don't realize, like, she's a lunatic, and she's a child. She's a baby brain.
I was so glad when he came in and like literally was like basically like, hi Gwen, can you like get off my junk for 2 seconds and have a conversation with someone else? Because if I heard her, how many times is she, darling, I'm so over her calling him darling. It makes me want to just end it all. Like, really, honestly.
It's so gross.
Yeah. And you know what else bothered me? So when they're having that conversation, they basically realize all of their misconnections and like miscommunications. He never confronts Gwen or anyone about lying about the Teresa being there.
Well, I'm hoping that comes up next week. I'm not sure. I was kind of hoping it comes up because he does notice. He's like, so you tried to call me and everything and nobody told me. He just says nobody told me about this. So yeah, I'm hoping it comes up because
asked and they lied.
Yeah. Because he says to Gwen says to Rebecca, like, if Ethan ever finds out that she came to find him and we sent her away, then he's never going to forgive me, basically. So I'm hoping that comes up. I don't know though. Passions is very good at like making conflicts just disappear, you know? So,
which I feel like that could have been like, Gwen and Ethan haven't gotten to have any like miscommunications or conflicts. And that could have been something to like, they never ruffle the feathers between the two of them, which is weird. Like, oh, they make it like their relationship is so easy. Well, then why wouldn't he have just gone with her? The relationship with Teresa was obviously more difficult.
That's so true. And they, you know what, they use Rebecca as their conflict between them. They use Rebecca. Like he takes all of his frustrations out on Rebecca, blames Rebecca for anything that happens between him and Teresa, which a lot of times she is involved, but so is Gwen. Right. But Gwen is able, because she has Rebecca and Rebecca is willing to take the brunt of the fault, she is able to scapegoat her.
Yeah.
Rebecca lets her scapegoat her. Right. Yeah. So she has that like kind of built-in protection in Rebecca. And Ethan understands having a shitty parent, right? Like he has Julian, who's like constantly doing shit behind his back. And he still like loves his dad for whatever. I get, you know, people love their parents, even if their parents are, you know, people love their parents, even when their parents are like awful, you know. It's interesting. It's so interesting. It's sad sometimes when I like talk to kids and their parents are like so awful to them and they're still just like, but I love my mommy. And it's like, ugh.
Yeah, they want their approval.
Yeah,
they want their parents to,
it's 100%. Sad. But they had, so he's able to I think he gives Gwen a pass because of Rebecca. I think. I don't know though. But you're right. They should have more conflict because they don't belong together, and he and Teresa do. But and that's another thing I hate, that the trope that like love is worth fighting for, and if you're really in love, like you have to fight through, and like being in a relationship is hard work.
Yeah.
Is it? It's not that hard. Right? Like, is it that hard?
It shouldn't be.
It shouldn't be that hard, but they make it seem like it should be, which I hate.
This is why all of us grew up and are such messes, because we watched all those like teen dramas and shows like this where it's like, oh yeah, like that's fiery, that's good if you have conflict and fighting and what it means you care. And it's like, no, sometimes it's just toxic.
Yep.
It's gonna be a part of it.
And we're all just having to unlearn that. It's crazy. I have to catch myself all the time. Like, no, girl, that man is bad for you. Like, that is a red flag. Acknowledge it and move on. Like, I don't care how cute he is. I don't care how much money he has. I don't care like how nice he is to you. Like most of the time, like if he does things that are questionable, move on. We're in our 30s.
We're running out of time now to keep making mistakes. It's true.
we don't have this time for
frivolous things like this.
I can't be falling in love. I do not have time to fall in love with a man's potential anymore. Yeah.
I'm tired, you know.
Time. Ooh. So we're off on a tangent, but that's okay. Where are we in this? Luis, Ethan, Teresa, what are they doing?
So while they're talking inside, Luis and Gwen are outside together.
Yes. Oh, and they actually have like a weird, nice moment.
Yeah, it was like the first time that I looked at Gwen and I was like, oh, you're not all awful.
Yeah. Yeah, they have like kind of a nice moment. Um, Luis overhears Gwen on the phone with Rebecca saying Teresa's going to be out of Ethan's life forever.
Yeah.
Right. And
what do you mean? Why would she be in his life?
And then he doesn't let her answer. Then he just assumes she's talking about the wedding.
Right.
That's it.
Like you would think he'd pick up on all these little things like this must be about more than the wedding.
Nope.
This is a lot for a work relationship.
Yeah. Well, then he tells her, I don't like Ethan very much, but I hope that things work out between the two of you and that you get married. I don't like the way things have turned out for you. Yeah. And it was kind of nice. She was like, yeah, and I know and she says to him, I know how much Sheridan really cared about you. And I know that you care for her. And I'm sorry that this has happened to you. Like, I know that what the two of you had was real. And she told me on numerous occasions how much she cared for you. And I just wanted you to know that. So it was actually really sweet. And I got teary-eyed. Like I'm getting teary-eyed thinking about it because poor Louise is really going through it.
Yeah, and they humanize her character a little bit there.
A little bit. And then she sends him back into the church to catch Teresa with Ethan. She's like, oh, here's an opportunity. She sends him back in the church. She's like, I don't know. The last time I saw Teresa, she was in the church. So she sends him back in there, hoping he will catch her with Ethan. But that obviously does not happen, right?
And that's when Rebecca walks over, right? Mm-hmm. And she says something really gross to her, like, oh yeah, Sheridan's death is going to be the way you and Ethan get back together.
Yeah.
She needs to like really put that woman in her place.
She really does. She really does. Rebecca is like a horrible, overbearing mother who, and like, have you ever seen stage moms? Not stage moms, dance moms.
Yes.
Rebecca is Abby Lee Miller. Like they are so similar, like just nasty, say anything, will do anything to like win, and
to get her to the front.
And it's completely oblivious to how awful she actually is. Thinks that she's right, but she's not. Yeah. But anyway, I used to love dance moms.
Me too.
I don't know why I watched so much Dance Mom.
I know. And I was like, you know what? Like looking back, I'm like that. I feel bad because those kids were on another tangent, but like those kids have to have like deep rooted issues from that.
Yeah. Sure. And it was like really fucked up. Like some of the dances that they did, some of the
outfits. Yeah.
The things that they were exposed to, like in the fights, the things that the moms were like saying to each other and about them. To their faces. It was fucked up, but I watched it every week for like 6 years.
Yeah. But until like the new people came in, and then I was like, all right.
Yeah. I left around the time I stopped watching it around the time like JoJo Siwa came in.
Yeah, when Chloe left, Chloe was my favorite. So when she left, I was like,
yeah, I liked Chloe too. But anyway, moving on to Passions. Moving back to Passions. So Luis goes inside, does not catch Teresa. However, they have a horrible conversation.
Yes.
Oh, Luis, like this. Like I said, I love and hate Luis. This is the hate Luis part. Mm-hmm. This was awful. So he doesn't see them together, but they have this conversation where Teresa asks Luis what he talked about with Ethan, and Luis says, don't worry about it. I just hate him and I always will, right? I hate Ethan. I always will. And Teresa defends Ethan again. And Luis then realizes, wait a minute, are you still daydreaming about marrying this guy? Like, I thought you were over it now that you have this new boyfriend. Because remember, she was going to tell Luis about Ethan. Yeah. And so she led up with, I have this new guy in my life, but then we never got around to it, right? Yeah. So Teresa says, well, what if, yeah, she goes, what if Ethan did fall in love with me? Because Luis keeps saying, that's never going to happen. It's an impossible dream. Just give it up. She goes, but what if, just for the sake of argument, what if it did happen? And Louise says to her, quote, if you were ever to marry a Crane, you would not only destroy yourself, you would destroy what we have as brother and sister and tear our family apart. Oh my God. He goes, Teresa, if you ever went against me on this, you might as well be dead because I would never see you or speak to you again. The fuck?
Yeah.
Over a boyfriend?
Yeah. And it's very like, I get that he tries to play the dad role, but it's like so extreme. And when it's like a parent, right? Okay, I feel like I can't trust you and tell you things because you're going to get mad at me. So when things go wrong, you're kind of at fault for that because you made me feel like I had to be secretive. I had to lie. And then he always like does something. It's like, he has like something a little off about him too, because he'll do something like that, say something so extreme and then be like, oh, sorry, I didn't mean to upset you. It's just like you, Mama, and Miguel are like the most important things in my life.
Yes. Yes. It's it's
Toxic.
almost like a cycle of abuse. Like it's really fucked up. It's like you punch me, but then you say like, I'm sorry, but look what you made me do.
I love
sorry.
you.
It's just that I love you. Yes. I hit you because I love you kind of thing. No, thank you, sir. But yeah, that's exactly what happens. He like lightens up like, cause it got very dark and heavy. And then he goes like,
I just really love you.
He's like, ha ha ha, but that'll never happen, lighten up, and it's weird because they're like having this conversation in front of Sheridan's coffin. So
right. Also, I feel like bad perspective of something to learn after someone just died, that you would like cut someone out and act like they were dead because they could do what you wanted.
You would think that you would have the opposite feelings in that moment, that like nothing's ever going to make me like, I never want to lose people who are close to me. Right. So like nothing could make me turn away from them, it seems like that, because that's what Ethan's saying to Gwen outside. Basically, yeah. he's like, Sheridan's death has really reminded me that life is short, and it has made me feel like more than ever I want to get married soon, and I will be making my decision soon. That's what he tells Gwen. And Gwen thinks, of course, he's going to choose me because Sheridan wanted us to be together and he loved Sheridan, and Sheridan's dead. So he's going to.
Confidence is so sad to watch. And the last thing I wrote was, I'm so over this season of The Bachelor. Just pick someone already. Like, I can't. Just pick someone. Our worst Bachelor yet.
Just pick someone. I don't watch The Bachelor. I've never watched The Bachelor, but I know the premise. I understand how it works. I mean, I've watched plenty of dating shows, but like I haven't watched The Bachelor. But
it's exhausting because it devalues both relationships to keep it going on for this long. It's like, I'm just going to pick someone because I want to get married. I love you both, but let me just pick which the best option of the two is. It's like,
it's gross. I don't care for it. But basically he gives Gwen the feeling that he's going to choose her. That's what I got from it. I don't know.
That's why I felt like this whole 5 episodes, he kept making it seem like she was the choice. Sheridan would want this, the right way to massage me, or like whatever he's saying to her. And then he'd be like, oh, by the way, why hasn't Teresa called? It's just so inconsistent and so annoying.
Well, he is inconsistent. Like he's an inconsistent, inconsiderate asshole. Like he is. But that's really where we leave it with Teresa and Ethan this week, right? That's pretty much it. Okay, let's talk about Chad and Whitney real quick. Chad is packing up. He's leaving Harmony. He's getting the fuck out of here. He's like, this town is so awful, so racist. I cannot believe these fucking people thought that I raped this girl I've never heard of, right? So he's packing it in. Simone is very upset. Simone tells him like, no, you can't leave, please stay. She calls in TC's like, TC, or she doesn't say TC, she says daddy. She says daddy, like Chad is trying to leave, like tell him he needs to stay. TC says, I can't make him do anything, but he does say to Chad, Chad, we are very apologetic about what happened. I know that hurt your feelings, but you are welcome to stay here for as long as you need. TC does at least say that much. But Chad's like, it's time for me to move on. I've been looking for my parents, haven't found my parents, which Eve was so nicely reminded him last week. She's such a bitch. I can't stand Eve. But
Whitney takes after her mom. I'm sorry. She does. They're
yes,
cold.
100%. 100%. And that's what I've been saying. I don't understand why he wants anything to do with Whitney when she acts just like Eve, who like is constantly putting him down.
And like TC definitely has like rage in him, but I feel like Simone and TC are like both like softer. They try to, I feel like TC only flies off the handle like really about Eve stuff. Like otherwise he's like, oh, sugar bear. And like I do like TC a lot. I know off sometimes, don't get me wrong, but
I agree. I like TC too, but he really flies off the handle. And the reason that it's weird when TC flies off the handle is because generally he is so even keeled. And so when we see him fly off the handle, it's always about Julian, right? Like it's always like, damn Ukraine, like, and he's always like, I'll murder him.
Yeah.
Right? Like
honestly, I wish he just would already.
He gets that murder look in his eyes, and you know, it's like, but you know, we all have our little things that set us off, I guess.
Chad says that line about like that Eve doesn't want him there, like contaminating his daughters, her daughters, and it made me so sad.
It's true though. He always, they write good lines for him, even though they write him in a way that I am not always thrilled about. Like the way he talks is not always. I'm like, that doesn't.
He would say that.
No, like you jiving me, like no. Let's. Please calm down.
Yeah.
But they do give him some really good, insightful lines. Like they really do give him some like really impactful lines. And that is that, yeah, she doesn't want me here contaminating her daughters. He says, it's time for me to go, you know, and Dr. Russell was really so quick to believe that rumor about me. She does not want me here. So Chad keeps on packing up and thinking about Whitney, and we get a little montage about Whitney. Simone then sees Eve come into the house, right? And immediately goes off on Eve, and it was amazing.
And that's the thing too, like something about Simone, like she's so much like stronger than Whitney. She's assertive. I just find her to be so much more compelling.
Yes, she's a better character. They write her. She's so much better than Whitney in these episodes. Like up until now, like there has not been a moment where I liked Whitney more than Simone yet. And I do know that is coming, except, you know, this is my rewatch. So I may feel differently here in my 30s than I did when I was 16. Right. So honestly, now that I think about it, I'm looking forward to seeing how I feel about Simone going forward. Yeah. But I do remember feeling like, ugh, Simone, move on.
Yeah. It becomes like desperate.
It becomes very Gwen. Yeah. If I remember correctly. Yeah. But anyway, she goes off on Eve. She says to her mother, Chad's leaving because he's leaving because you are a bigot. You're prejudiced against Chad because he didn't come from a nice family and doesn't have any money. You have never given Chad a chance. Chad is a decent, kind, intelligent boy, and you could never see that. The only thing you could see was that he was a poor kid and didn't have any family. I love this. And she says, doesn't that just make you the worst kind of bigot?
I love her. I love her. She gets all the awards.
I love Simone. Right, honestly, right now, but beyond Teresa and like my love for Teresa in general, Simone is my favorite character.
Yeah. I love Chad, but like the stupidity towards Whitney takes him down pegs for me.
Yeah. I love Chad too, but the chasing after Whitney when Simone's right there is very irritating to me. Yeah.
What a typical man. You don't want the person who wants you, even though they're the better choice. You want the person who doesn't want you.
Yep. Typical. People always want what they can't have, I guess. Yeah. I don't know. So TC tells Simone, you need to apologize to your mother right now. And Simone's like, no, I won't. I won't. And she just like storms off. Loved it. It was fantastic. Chad actually comes in on the tail end of this rant that Simone gives. And he's just standing there like, yep. And And then Eve, once Simone leaves, Eve goes over to Chad and actually apologizes to him for jumping to conclusions about him getting that girl pregnant. And she says, I just wanted to keep my girls safe. I'm just worried about my daughters. Whatever, Eve. I'm over this narrative. I'm super over it.
I know. And I know her backstory is like so complex, but it almost makes it worse that she's so like not understanding of him.
Yeah, it does make it worse. It does make it worse that she's not understanding of him, because she could be a good influence for him. If you think that he's not on the right path, you can help him. Where he's been, but she's so hell-bent on keeping these stupid secrets. Like, okay, you got pregnant, had a baby with Julian. Now that's maybe keep the Julian part separate, but right. I don't know why you can't just be honest with TC about, like, I have this past, or couldn't have, like, she's deep in now, like we're 20 years in now, but I don't understand why she couldn't have been just honest with him and said, like, this is who I am. This is what happened to me. My baby died and my baby's gone. Her baby's gone. And now I'm going to medical school. I don't know what the problem was back then. I wish they would show us.
And I also feel like if that would have been, I mean, obviously she was younger, right? But if that would have been enough for you to be against me, then like, okay, you weren't the right person for me. So
yeah. But I guess she felt so bad about herself. I think I guess she just had such low self-esteem. And when people have that low self-esteem, is very hard for them to be honest. They want to pretend to be someone else.
Yeah, she was already rejected by Julian. Maybe she just
yeah. Okay, all right. I've talked myself into feeling bad for Eve, or understanding her.
So harsh.
When it comes to Chad, it's just so shitty, and it's so horrible when you know this kid has no family and seems to be a perfectly fine and upstanding person, right? Like, works so hard, has saved your daughter's life multiple times at this point. I don't see what the problem is. And she's saying to you, like, I don't have any feelings for him. Like, there's no reason for you to think that they have anything going on, even though they kind of do, but whatever. So she apologizes to him. He says to her, when I first met you, I thought you had come up in a rougher life like me. Like, something about you just made me feel like we had a lot more in common, but I guess I was wrong. You had a great, easy upbringing. And she almost tells him, no, Chad, we're more alike than you think.
Yeah.
But she doesn't. Because of course
nobody
she doesn't.
Can know. Yeah.
Because of course she doesn't. So, she says to him, shakes his hand, tells him she wishes him the best, tells him, you're welcome to stay. She does tell him, you're welcome to stay. I know that I was harsh, but you don't have to leave. He says, no, I think I do. Shakes his hand, tells him goodbye, Chad. So goodbye, Chad. He's leaving and he bumps into Whitney on the way out. And she once again apologizes to him for not believing him about Tiffany, but he calls her an ice queen.
I loved that. What an accurate description of her.
He calls her an ice queen and says that he can tell that she's searching to fill some sort of hole in her heart, and that tennis is never going to do it, and that she's never going to find what she's looking for until she melts a little. That's what he says, until she melts a little and lets someone else into her heart. And then he says, goodbye, Whitney. I hope you get what you want out of life. Beautiful. It was beautiful.
It was a good speech. He's a good wordsmith. Mm-hmm. He really is.
Well, he's a lyricist, right? He's a songwriter. Right. True. So that makes sense. It makes sense that he would know how to put his words in a way that is somewhat poetic. So Whitney then goes up to his apartment that he just vacated upstairs or above the garage. She like stands around and cries.
That, what's funny about them, like the reminiscing scenes that they do, it's almost like they had this like great love affair that like never even came to fruition yet. Like they try to make it like it's Louise and Sheridan, but it's like mostly been contentious.
Exactly. We get a montage a la Louise, but it's Chad and Whitney. And I mean, the majority of their scenes are them fighting with each other.
Yeah.
So the scenes that we saw in the montage were like him saving her from the rubble, and like that one little kiss he gave her on the cheek, and then that one like they did have a kiss on the tennis court, but that was like it. Like him picking her up when they were at the when the avalanche happened and she had hurt her leg.
They had like that fake wedding expo thing.
Oh my God, that fucking wedding expo. Oh my God. That was so stupid. The most perfect couple. And he still had that sash and he left it on the bed.
Like staring at it longingly.
Yeah, so she's like there and we get this montage with bad music as usual. And then Chad comes back and sees her standing there crying.
Which was so frustrating for me.
And me too. Me too. But I loved it when he came back and he was like, you were crying because of me. Like, of course, obviously. And obviously she was. And she's like, no, it's just been a hard day. Sheridan died. Bitch, you don't know Sheridan.
Right. She's exhausting to me because obviously she cares about him. And obviously she knows he cares about her.
Yeah.
What's with the facade? Like, even if you say like, I feel like you're going to disrupt like what I have going in my career or whatever, like we need to figure, it's just so extra. It really is.
It really is. And Chad says as much. He's like, can we please just sit down and have a conversation about our feelings with one another? Again, what a perfect man. Honestly, like let's sit down, talk this through, no walls, no bullshit. Let's just have a conversation about like what is going on between us. Where do we go from here? And Whitney's like, there's nothing to talk about. I'm not crying because of you. I'm crying because Sheridan died. No, you're not. And then he says, no, you're not. You're crying over me. I know you are. And the only reason I'm still standing here is because no one has ever cried about me or cried over me or had any feelings for me. So I really think we should talk about this. But she refuses. And then Simone comes in all chipper talking about, I'm going to bake some cookies. Will that make you stay? And
I mean, honestly, for me, maybe it would.
Hell yeah, girl. Like for me, if I were Chad in this moment, Simone has had my back this entire time. She's beautiful. She's nice to me. She believes in me. And now now I know she makes cookies. Yeah, I'm in.
Trainer.
I don't care what kind of cookies they are. And I don't care.
Whitney's not even nice. She's not even really like, her and Teresa bicker a lot too. I love them together, but I'm like, she hands her ass like a lot.
Whitney her personality is flat.
Yeah.
Her personality is a little flat. Like, I really do not see the appeal for Chad in this. I don't. She's beautiful. She's gorgeous. Drop dead gorgeous.
And talented. I get that that's a draw.
Yeah. And passionate, but like everything else is very blah.
Yeah.
Meh, but whatever. So, Simone comes in, talks about like, I'm going to make some cookies. This is me, you're staying. And he's like, well, maybe I was a little hasty. Maybe I need to think things through a little bit more. So he, I guess, stays. That's not explained very well. Next time we see him, he's back at the book cafe. Well, I don't even know if he moves back into this house.
Whitney says to him, if you're staying because you think anything's going to happen between us, then you should leave.
Yeah.
Okay, bitch.
Ugh, she sucks. So then she goes off to her room and he plays this song for her. I couldn't tell you what the song was. Couldn't tell you how it goes. Good. It was a horrible song. It was very ugly. If somebody played that song for me, I would think that they were trying to send me the message that they did not like me and wanted me to go away. Okay. Because it sounded so bad.
And he's a DJ. Like, you have to have a better repertoire to pick from. That was the best you had.
Whitney is moved by it. Whitney is moved by it.
That was the one thing it took.
Yeah, she's sitting there and she's like, she's getting the message. The message is that he loves her, basically. But Simone's the one that picks up the message. Simone comes in and is like, I heard the song. I got your message. I know it means you love me, but you just can't tell me because my family. And he's like, wait a minute, Simone, wait a minute. But he never tells her, like, I don't love you. He never said, what irritates me about this is that Chad is constantly telling Whitney to be honest,
Yeah.
constantly telling her she needs to be honest. And I know he wants to be honest with Simone, but he won't just come out and say it. He's like, we need to talk. We need to talk. And she's like, well, I'm busy. We can talk later, kind of thing.
That's the Luis thing, like fills in the blanks for people.
Yeah. So yeah, he's having a hard time telling Simone. He should have told her by now, because he knew Simone thought that she loved whatever. He knew that Simone thought that he was in love with her.
Right.
We found this out like 100 episodes ago. So
he had plenty of time to nip it in the bud by now.
By now he should have done something, and he hasn't been honest with her, and it's about to create a huge issue. So that's what happens with them. That's it.
I liked when Simone and Whitney have that conversation though, and she says something to him like, oh well, I'm the sister with a boyfriend.
Yeah. It makes me cringe. I'm embarrassed for her.
I know.
Because Whitney knows so much about, and that's another thing. As a sister, be honest with your sister.
Yeah.
Like, here's what's going on. Chad and I are Chad's like after me, like a lot.
And I think you need to know that. I don't, even if she still wanted to go with that story that she doesn't want him.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't want you. He wants me, and I don't want you to get hurt.
Yes, exactly.
No one's honest with this poor girl.
Nobody. Ugh. So, well, that's the whole show. We did it. We finished it.
No. Sorry.
So Gina, go ahead and tell everybody where they can find you, where you want them to follow you.
Yeah. If you want to follow me on TikTok, it's there GI goes. For more nostalgic vibes.
All right. And yes, you should absolutely follow Gina, because I like her content, and she's given us all the nostalgia vibes. I love it. All right. So we're going to really quickly, sorry, patrons, I forgot to do this in the middle. Here are your shout outs. Munashe, thank you. Marcus, Erica, Breland, Lisa, Zach, Sid, Sarana, Dustin, Heather, Randall, Ashley, Hannah, Camelia, Amanda, Monique, Samantha, Amy, Chucky, and Jeanette. Thank you all so very much for being patrons. Thank you for being a friend. Oh, I forgot that I was wearing this. Thank you for being a friend.
Perfection. Perfection.
I know. Perfect. And remember, you can always catch us on all of our social medias. You know where they are: Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, that other one, Twitter, that one. And that's it. That's it for the show. So, you are my passion for life.
I'm not a good singer. I would have joined.
All right. It won't sync up anyway. So I'm just having to do that by myself.